So last week in our start of the study of the scripture called Upanishad, we read the lecture, a transcription of a lecture given by Srila Prabhupada in 1969, which is in the introduction section of the Upanishad book, that set the context of what are Vedas and what do they deal and why we need to know about them. So that was a very interesting session by Srila Prabhupada, where it covered many aspects in a very sequential and a very logical manner with a lot of references. So today, and we also covered the invocation mantra of the Upanishad. Today we'll repeat the mantra, just read the meaning, invocation mantra, and then go to the first mantra of the Upanishad. And we'll also once again review the position of Upanishads in the whole body of the repository of the vast knowledge that we have as a part of our Sanatana Dharma. So this is our agenda. So Sant Gopeshwar Prabhu last week has sent me one very good document, which I'll be using it here. Can someone confirm that this is visible?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's visible.
Okay, so this is the complete diagram that Prabhu has sent. So it basically gives us an overview of the great, vast, timeless knowledge that is there as a big repository for us to understand various aspects of life. But ultimately, the purpose of all is one: to get to know God, to know our relationship and how to nurture that relationship, and what is the benefit of that, and how we have to start our journey to go back to Him. Yeah, so I'm starting from this thing. This is the Vedic knowledge. Veda means knowledge. So this is everything that is there is coming from here. And we also said that there are two things, Shruti and Smriti, two parts of the Vedic knowledge. Shruti is revealed as absolute truth, and there's no change in the word because it's coming as in the disciplic succession, as learnt by the sages and repeated and getting passed to the generation of generation. And it is written in a language called Vedic Sanskrit, which is a bit different than the normal spoken Sanskrit as what we see today. Whereas Smritis are composed by sages for various reasons. We'll come to that in a slightly later in this discussion. But the works may change, sometimes the stories may change because of the time, place, and circumstances, and the way the sages have revealed, and the way the sages have to reveal to a particular audience. So, this is written in normal classical Sanskrit that we know of today. So, in the Shrutis, Shruti means here the knowledge that is coming purely from hearing aspect. In the Shrutis, we have three major Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, and Samaveda. And Atharvaveda is a Veda that the things that are not covered in these Vedas are covered there. So Rig Veda, Yajurveda, and Samaveda have got different parts to that. Samhitas, we have Samhitas where mantras, the Vedic mantras are given in the Samhitas, and the rituals and the sacrifices that a grihasthas have to perform are given in what are known as called brahmanas. The various samskaras and things like that come here, and the mantras and the esoteric explanation and explanations that are esoteric means something which is not easy to understand, but you need some knowledge to understand, and that are meant for vanaprasthas, people who are in the retired mode of life and who want to dedicate more time to the which is spiritual realization and understanding. Aranyakas are there, and Upanishads are understood as the headlines of the Vedas for sannyasis. So Upanishads is a body of knowledge in the portion of the Jnana Kanda of the Vedas. Karma Kanda is the upper portion, Samhitas, Brahmanas, and Aranyakas. Jnana Kanda is meant for sannyasis. So obviously the Upanishads, the mantras are very potent, powerful, very knowledge based, and we read these mantras in the Upanishads as just not like as mantras, but we also take the help of the great acharyas like Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is very kind enough to give us very nice purports for these things so that we can understand and take the benefit. And apart from Vedas, we have Upavedas, which has Dhanur Veda, Ayurveda, and so on and so forth. And Vedangas also are there. There you have the ritual details in the kalpas, sikshas, how to pronounce the Vedas, what is the grammar that is associated with that, the Vyakarana that we call it as a grammar, which is there in any language, right? And etymology, which is connected to the words, origin of the words, nirukta, and chandas. The chandas comes along with the grammar on how a poem has to be written, where it has to break, what kind of words it has to have, what kind of words it has to end. This is all defined in the chandas and the meter, and that defines the meter of the song or a meter of the mantra. And Jyotisha, as we all know, also is a part of the Vedas, which deals with the astronomy, time, and calculation. So Jyotisha is not something to be taken away. Jyotisha is part of our Vedic knowledge. Whether we believe it or not, it's a different issue. Srila Prabhupada once said it's a science, it's a good science, but nowadays, since there are no good scientists, we may feel that it is very irrelevant. But Jyotisha is a part of our Vedic knowledge. So this is a part which is coming under Shruti. So why myself and Sant Gopeshwar Prabhu wanted to deal with it is because there was a very specific question that was asked by, I think Sadhu Sevana Prabhu has asked this question, what are Shruti and Smriti? And I thought that this chart is very nicely depicts, and also we should also pay the humble obeisances to those devotees or those devotees, the one devotee or those devotees who have prepared this chart. It's very useful to understand. So when it comes to Smritis, there are rituals, again, ritual sutras, there are tantras, agamas. So some of the, we see the agamas are there in temples also. The worships are done depending upon a particular agama. And then we have Puranas, they're considered as the fifth Veda, Itihasas as fifth Veda, and Sat Darshanas. And so in the ritual sutras, we have Shrauta Sutra, how to do a public yajna, and Griha Sutra, how to do yajnas in the house, because there could be a lot of differences, right? How a public yajna is done for the benefit of masses at large, but how do we do our own yajnas in the house, like Groha Pravesha or whatever? Sometimes yajna are done for the benefit of the householders, for sometimes to come out from the ill health and things like that. And then we have Dharma Shastras and Dharma Sutras. Dharma Sutras are the law books, and Dharma Shastras are the extract of that, and through explained through Manu Samhita and things like that. And if you see Srila Prabhupada's purports also refers to Manu Samhita, Manu law. The Manu is the one who has given the law of the civilization to all of us. And till this day, even in the modern law, there are the threats and the concepts of Manu had laid out are there that we can see. And when it comes to Puranas, we have different Puranas. There are Tamasic Puranas, Rajasic Puranas, and Sattvic Puranas. It's not that Purana is Tamasic, Purana is Rajasic. The word, the title is given, it is easily acceptable and understandable by the people who are in Tamasic good. There are Puranas that are easily understandable and understandable and readable by people who are in Rajoguna, and there are some things which are in the Sattvic. And Lord Shiva conversation to Parvati are there in both Tamasic and Rajasic. And in Sattvic we have Vaishnava Agamas, Pancharatras, Brahma Samhitas, and so on and so forth in the Tantras also. Same way in the Puranas, this is in the Tantras, and same way in the Puranas also. Puranas also divided into three parts. And of course, in the Puranas we have this Mahapurana, 18 Mahapuranas. They are also divided into three sections: Tamasic, Rajasic, and Sattvic. And among the 18 Mahapuranas, Bhagavata Purana is supposed to be the Amala Purana, and is also connected. It is also known as the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, the ontology of the Upanishads. And there are 18 Upa Puranas also there. And among after all these ritual sutras, tantras, Puranas, we have itihasas. Then we have Saddarshana. That these are the Saddarshanas that come Vedanta, ontology of or the Upanishads. Ontology is basically what it means is what can be known as Prameya in the subject matter of ontology. We have Pramana, Shabda, and Prameya. Prameya these are the different types of knowledge that we will get. Shrutis are predominantly in the mode of Shabda. The knowledge is acquired through the listening, and there are the things which are hypotheses and which are speculative. But we also gain knowledge through that those means also, even though that knowledge is not completely perfect. So ontology of Upanishads is Vedanta, and that is directly connected to Bhagavata Purana. And then there are other Shaddarshanas as Mimamsa, Jaimini Rishi, Nyaya, Gautama Rishi, Vaishashika, Kannada Rishi, and he has given yoga. Yoga is also part of the whole repository of knowledge. Patanjali is very well known for that, and Sankhya is also philosophy. There was a sage by name Kapila. He is not the same Kapila as what we see in Srimad Bhagavatam third canto. Kapila Dev and Deyahuti. He is another Kapila. He is an atheist, and who was also had given his understanding about the subject matter of the knowledge, but in a atheistic uh, perspective. So it's interesting that in the repository of knowledge that is available to us, that is also authorized, we have different perspectives from a headlines of for the Vedas, from an explanation of the content of Upanishads through histories, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Itihasas, and some of the contents of the Vedas available to us through Puranas. In terms of leelas, in terms of stories, in terms of examples, and of course the straightforward Vedas. So where we are today, we are reading one of the Upanishads called Isopanishads, and these are also 108 Upanishads are there. Among them, Acharya said 10 to 12 of them are important. Among them, Isopanishad definitely comes in one of the top orders. So we are reading this. How is this connected to what we have read till now? Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita is supposed to be the Sar of the Upanishad. Yeah. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo, Dogdha Gopalanandana, Partho Vasa Sudhir Bhokto, Dugdam Gita Amritam Mahat. So Bhagavad Gita is there, and Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are also related because Bhagavatam is an extension of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita ends with the what Lord has spoken to Arjuna and ends with the importance of surrender, and Bhagavatam starts from that point and tells the lives of devotees and again describes the pastimes of Sri Krishna. And it also gives a lot of details on the primary creation, secondary creation, and so on and so forth. And ultimately, leading us to understand what is pure devotional service. So, in way, Bhagavata, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads are all quite well linked. And the good thing about for us, the biggest advantage that we have, thanks to Srila Prabhupada, in the purports of Srila Prabhupada, the whole repository of knowledge is there in some traces of other. So when he's talking about Upanishad, he may be referring to some of the ritual sutras, some of the tantras, some of the Puranas, some of the Ityasas, some of the Satnames, Saddarshana, because he also refers sometimes to the Kapila, the atheistic philosophy, what is the contradiction there, and sometimes in the Samhitas, sometimes in the tantras like Brahma Samhitas and things like that, sometimes during the samskaras. So even though there's a huge, vast subject knowledge is available to humanity at large, for us it comes in a very crystallized, understandable, easy to understand, easy to capture, easy to remember, and and try to assimilate to practice that in our lives in order to move forward in bhakti is there. So there is no depth of knowledge that is available. That should not be the reason for us not to take up to devotional service. There is no depth of explanations, contradictions, discussions, arguments that is also available. So for the spiritual seeker, this Sanatana Dharma repository is very, very huge. And here we are only putting blocks for one thing, right? If we all know that if we have to study Srimad Bhagavatam itself, 18,000 verses, and Bhagavad Gita 700%. Then apart from that, Acharyas, when they've seen it, and then in our parampara, if you see, Goswamis have written lakhs and lakhs of verses as a commentary, as an explanation. So, huge body of knowledge is available to us to understand and to get to know the exact knowledge to reach the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. And again, I repeat, thanks to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, this kind of a clarity is given. And when we read Srila Prabhupada's purports, if you know this picture, if we have this mental picture in place, there is a very good chance that we'll start appreciating Srila Prabhupada, how he has crystallized this whole knowledge in his purports and is given us. So that's why when we read Srila Prabhupada's purports, it's very important to pay attention and also to appreciate and to be grateful to that great Acharya of this modern age who has done such a great work. So I'll just pause here for any comments or anything before I move further. Hare Krishna. Any doubts or any comments?
Prabhuji, the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, Bhagavad Gita is the what is called summary of all the Upanishad, or the Sar of Upanishad, or it is a Upanishad?
No, Bhagavad Gita is not a Upanishad. Sarva Upanishado Gavo. Sarva Upanishado Gavo. So it's a Sar of Upanishads.
Sar of Upanishad, okay.
Upanishads are here. They're mainly on the Jnana Kanda. Yeah, any other doubt? If you, yeah, Hare Krishna. So we will also post this in our forum. So kindly keep it as a reference. If you have to take any sessions or classes, this will be very useful. And we should thank Sant Gopishwar Prabhu for providing us this chart. He has taken it from one of the classes that he has heard. Initially, I requested him to speak about this, but I think today he has got some other seva, so he's not able to join with us. So I took the responsibility to do this. Somehow I felt it was very, very useful in going through this. So that's why I wanted to share, even though it takes a bit time to understand. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So now we will.
I joined late, Prabhu.
Yeah, if there are any questions, I will last chance on this. Otherwise, I'll move forward. Prabhu, you want to add something, Prabhu?
No, Prabhu. I said I joined a little late. Just finished the other seva. I joined a little late.
Okay, fine. Hare Krishna. Take care, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So now we will go. We will go to Isopanishads. So last week, while understanding what are Vedas, today we got a glimpse of what is there. So we have read this shloka, Isopanishads invocation shloka. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udichyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avishishyate. Avashishyate. That is remaining. What is remaining? Shesh means remaining, right? So Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudichyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. So can someone read the meaning slowly, line by line?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I read, Prabhu?
Oh yeah, Hare Krishna. Oh, you joined Mataji. Hare Krishna. Welcome. You're okay there in Iraq?
Yeah, fine, Prabhu. Krishna's mercy.
Hare Krishna. Good.
Translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Okay. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because He is completely perfect, all emanations from Him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanates from him, he remains the complete balance.
So here the personality of the Godhead is explained to us as a complete and perfect. That means completely complete, completely perfect, or perfectly complete and completely perfect. This is how we need to understand. So what is the benefit of understanding this way? So we come to know the importance and utility of the absoluteness of the personality of the Godhead. So more and more we understand and believe that Lord and God is absolute. That means when it comes to God, there is nothing right or wrong, left or right, black or white, good or bad. Everything merges into that completeness. So whatever emanates from Him is also complete, and whatever gets into Him is also complete. So He is absolutely the last point of perfection and last point of completion for anything that we can think of, either in this phenomenal world or in the spiritual world. That's how the personality of the Godhead. There's another definition also they say, right? One of the definitions of God is causeless cause of all causes. Because He's complete and perfect, He is the causeless cause of all causes. So that's why that's how he is understood in the Vedas and Upanishad, that he is complete, and our endeavor is only to go to that complete self, because we are also in a way complete, because we are also part and parcel of Him. That Achincha Beda Beda Tattva that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told, quantity wise we are same, but the quality wise we are same, but quantity wise we are minute, and God is infinite. And that's the reason why our duty is to get back to that complete, become part of that complete and perfect whole. And this shloka is also interestingly explained in the theory of mathematics, when they talk about infinitism. You talk about, if somebody asks us how many real numbers are there, there are infinite real numbers, right? And somebody asks us how many real numbers are there in between two real numbers, that is also infinite. How many numbers are there which are less than a particular real number, they are also infinite. How many numbers are there which are more than a particular number, they are also infinite. So in that way the world is infinitely complete and perfect if you look at in terms of the Lord. So Lord is absolute and is perfect and complete. So when we think about Lord is perfect and complete, that means we will generally not have any complaints about what Lord gives us and what Lord takes away from us. Sometimes Lord gives us things that we want, we get it. So Lord is very pleasing to us. Sometimes Lord doesn't give us what we want, but He gives something else that we may think that it is very unfavorable, but actually that is also coming from a perfect being. So it cannot be imperfect. There is no fault there. So the understanding of this perfectness and absoluteness and completeness will help us in our devotion, in strengthening our faith to what we get or what we do not get in our own perception, and to be satisfied and to always put our bets and faith on the Lord. In that way, it strengthens our devotion, it strengthens our character, it strengthens the way we look at things in life, and it strengthens the way we deal with people, because He's perfect and complete. So there is always a drive behind that, the concept. So this is a very, very important shloka. So as we are going to understand this Isa Upanishad shlokas, I humbly request, if you have not by hearted this shloka, if you do not know this shloka by heart, kindly do that. It's a very good shloka also to refer when we are preaching to some other devotees who are new, or sometimes when we have to preach in a social gatherings. This shloka is very good because it doesn't directly talk about the name of the God, but it gives the concept of God. It gives the reality of God, and it explains something, absoluteness of the God, which nobody can deny. Yeah. So can someone, one Mataji and one Prabhu, read this before we go? further.
Hare Krishna. Can I read, Prabhu?
Yep.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnasya Mudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Any Prabhus want to read?
This is our school prayer, Prabhu, on Wednesday. We tell this.
Okay,
Along
but
with a lot of prayers, we tell this sloka.
very good. Hare Krishna. Which school, Mataji?
In Vivekananda school, Prabhu.
Good. Were they telling the meaning? Or of course, it's too much.
No meaning and all, not Prabhu, only slokas.
Yeah, this is good. That's good that you have remembered your school. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Any Prabhus?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate.
Thank you. So we will move to the next shloka. Does anyone has any doubt on understanding what is absoluteness and completeness? We can go. I'm going a bit slow in the first shlokas because it's important for us to get into our heart on what we learn through this so that it remains with us for a long time. So I'm now going to the first mantra of Isopanishad. So again, once again, we shall pay our humble obeisances to all the great teachers, all the gurus who have read this, understood this, realized these mantras and have revealed, particularly to Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON, right? Without him, without having him translating these into English, that to simple English with word by word meaning, I don't think that we would have ever got to know the shlokas the way that we are getting to know. That is my personal opinion. Okay, mantra 1 basically says Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tvektena bhunjita ma grudaha kasya svidhanam. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tvektena bhunjita ma grudha kasya svidhanam. So I want one Mataji and one Prabhu who have not done before to take up this.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I chant?
Yes, Mataji.
ईशावास्यम् इदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीता मा गृधः कस्य स्विद्धनम्.
Okay, so this is a very important shloka. It is also very well known shloka outside even the bhakti circles, even the social circles also. The shloka Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who is also known as the father of the nation, he used to tell that this is one of his favorite shlokas, and he used to explain that this shloka has defined his principles of life. So that's a very interesting thing. He has given different explanation. So this shloka basically is first thing Ishavasyam idam sarvam. That means everything is controlled. Isha, the Lord, Avasyam, control, idam sarvam. Everything is controlled by the Lord. Et kincha jagatyam jagat. In the universe, all the animate and inanimate things are then. Tena tvektvena bhunjita. So you take the quota that is assigned to you. You should only accept that. Ma grudha, don't endeavor to gain kasyasit dhanam. So anyone's else wealth. So it's very interesting because when we read the shloka, the one fundamental question comes to our mind is that how do I know what is allocated to me? How do I know what is the quota that is set apart for me? How do I not know what is not my quota? How do I know? If I look at my bank balance, how do I discriminate? How do I decipher? How do I draw a line saying that this is what was my quota and this is what is my excess? Or when I see my bank balance, I say, okay, this is what that I have to get, but my bank balance is less than what I am supposed to get. Where do I get? So a lot of these questions do come because the word dhanam is there, right? Dhanam is a very interesting word. You know, the moment wealth, dhanam means dhan. The moment we see dhanam means our mind goes into different direction. But in the Srila Prabhupada's purport, when we read carefully, Srila Prabhupada explains this purport as whatever is set apart quota in terms of nature. Nature basically teaches us what we should get and what we should endeavor. By seeing the principles of nature, we would know what is set for us and why we should be in our limits of knowing what is there. And we can extend this concept of the shloka even in our own lives, just like the way Mahatma Gandhi has said. So other acharyas also give very importance to the word magradha. This means endeavor to gain. So they say if this is the one word in Isopanishad's mantra that we need to remember and meditate a lot, because this word is, if you do not understand this properly, this is the one which fructifies our thinking, our thoughts and actions into what is known as envy, jealous and dvesha. Yeah. So, but the whatever order you may put, dvesha is of course the highest, envy and jealous and being envy, and then it leads to the hatred, right? So endeavor to gain unnecessarily for more than what is needed by us is the root cause of our envy. And envy is one thing which not only troubles us in our material life, but it also troubles us hugely in our devotional life. If we become envious of somebody, then that means it's very difficult to progress in our devotional life. We should always be happy. I mean, I'm telling very theoretically, I'm talking to myself here. Our aim in life should be to be able to compete with others, nothing wrong. If somebody is good at what we do, and same thing, somebody is good at that, but nothing wrong in competing. But while competing, if you see something good in others, it is better to appreciate and thank God for giving that to them, and thank God that they got it because they really deserved it. And we should endeavor to be deserving candidates to get that, and somewhere or other Lord gives us directly or indirectly. And in that process of getting that through God, by God's will, we are more peaceful than trying to strive hard on our own. And by becoming envy, our life will not be peaceful. Even when we get it also, we will not still be satisfied, because we always feel something is less. So gridha is a word they said that you concentrate, endeavor to gain, and here endeavor to gain excessively than what is needed. So this word basically gives this. That's why santushtaha, this word that comes in Bhagavad Gita also, being self-satisfied is one other thing. But that doesn't mean that they're curbing our propensity to learn more, to move forward. But our propensity from a material angle, from the sense gratification angle, so that is where we need to understand these shlokas. So this is a very interesting shloka. So I request any one of the Prabhus to take up this shloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
ईशावास्यम् इदं सर्वं यत्किञ्चा जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जिता मा गृधः कस्यचित् धनम्.
Hare Krishna. Thanks. So again, once again, when you are reading this shloka, when we are reading this mantra, kindly remember that chart that was shown to you. Upanishads are the headlines of Vedas. So think how fortunate we are to sit like this today to talk about the headlines of Vedas and trying to understand what these headlines are pointing us to, right? Headlights are pointing us to. So I'll read the meaning slowly, one by one. And so after that, in the next half an hour, we'll read the purport. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. So the very statement of this will, we can remember as a reference to what in Bhagavad Gita 10.8 tells. Can someone tell that shloka 10.8?
Aham sarvasya prabhava.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti matva vajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha.
So the first two lines, basically, they are also Krishna there himself is declaring that I am the Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. Here, Upanishad mantra is telling everything animate, inanimate within this universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. So that means controller is he and we are the controller. Enjoyer is he, we are the enjoyed. Right? And everything is owned by Lord means we do not own anything, but we are the trustees of something that is given to us as per our quota, based on our karma, based on whatever we may describe it to be. But whatever we have, we are only the trustees. So the job of the trustee is to preserve what it is there, right? Suppose if you are a trustee of a society or something like that, what's your job? That we need to protect what is there in the money of that temple or satsang or whatever it is. And but then we also have the responsibility to grow it, to get more value, to create more value out of it, right? So we are all trustees, and something is set as our quota, and we need to get it, and we need to accept it, we need to respect it, we need to be grateful to the Lord for giving it, because he is the ultimate owner. Okay, one should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself or herself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. And if we know that something is not belonging to us, there is no need to ma grudaha. Do not grudaha endeavor to gain that which is not yours. So that is the very important shloka. This basically, the shloka gives us another extension to Om Purnamada Purnamidam, that God is absolute and complete, and he is the owner here, and we need to know what is set as our quota. So Srila Prabhupada purport is there. So we'll go one by one. So how should I call names for people to read? Is that okay? Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, you can call me.
Prabhu, you want to read the first paragraph? So it will take about 35 minutes, I think, roughly 35 to 40 minutes. So we'll slowly read, and after every paragraph, let's pause it. And if someone wants to have any comment or this, we can do it. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Vedic knowledge is infallible because it comes down to the perfect disciplined succession of spiritual masters, beginning with the Lord himself. Since he spoke the first word of Vedic, so this something came in the screen?
Yes, Prabhu. Sorry. I don't know what happened. Yeah, sorry. Yes, Prabhu.
Since he spoke the first word of Vedic knowledge, the source of this knowledge is transcendental. The words spoken by the Lord are called Apaurushya, which indicates that which indicates that they are not delivered by the mundane person. A living being who lives in the mundane world has 4 defects. He is certain to commit mistakes, he is subject to illusion, he has a propensity to cheat others, and his senses are imperfect. No one with these 4 imperfections can deliver perfect knowledge. The Vedas are not produced by such an imperfect creature. Vedic knowledge was originally imparted by the Lord into the heart of Brahma, the first created a living being. And Brahma, in his turn, disseminated this knowledge to his sons and disciples, who have handed it down through history.
Okay. So here basically Prabhupada is telling the Vedic knowledge is infallible. It is Apaurishaya, but it's not given by any human being. It is complete. And we as human living beings in this mundane world have the 4 defects. And so with these imperfections, we cannot get this knowledge. But we should understand that these Vedas are originally coming from Lord, and it was given to the Brahma, and he in turn has disseminated this knowledge into the history. Yeah, can someone read the next 2 paragraphs? Jagat Bandhu Prabhu, family.
Since the Lord is Purnam, all perfect, there is no possibility of his being subjected to the laws of material nature, which he controls. However, both the living entities and inanimate objects are controlled by the laws of the nature and ultimately by the Lord's potency. This Ishopanishad is a part of Yajurveda, and consequently it contains information concerning the proprietorship of all things existing within the universe. Lord's proprietorship over everything
One second, Prabhu. The important
confirmed
point we should
in the
understand is that the Ishopanishad is a part of Yajurveda.
Ayurveda.
Yes, yeah. And it deals with the proprietorship of the Lord. Yeah.
The Lord's proprietorship over everything within the universe is confirmed in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 7.4 and 5, where para and apara prakriti are discussed. The elements of nature, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego all belong to Lord's inferior material energy, apara prakriti. Whereas living being, the organic energy is his superior energy, para prakriti. Both these prakritis or energies are emanations from the Lord, and ultimately he is the controller of everything that exists. There is nothing in the universe that does not belong to either the para or the apara prakriti. Therefore, everything is the property of the Supreme Being. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So here basically the Prabhupada is referring to the marginal energy, inferior energy, which is told in Bhagavad Gita, Bhumi Rapo, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, Kamano, Buddhirevata. These shlokas, the 24 gross elements, the 24, the 5 into 4, 20, the gross elements, and then and the other 4 are mind, intelligence, and ego, and pradhana, the ultimate, the originating substance, some substance of everything. So Prabhupada is basically talking about this. In the first few paras, Prabhupada established Vedas are Aporishaya, then they are Purnam, and they're part of Ishopanishad is part of Yajurveda. And here, in terms of Lord's energy, what is material inferior energy and the superior energy. Yeah. Fine. Can someone take it up this? I'll just Madhu Prabhu, can you read this? Madhav Charan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes.
Madhu Prabhu, yeah, good.
Because the Supreme Being, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the complete person. He has complete and perfect intelligence to adjust everything by means of his different potencies. The Supreme Being is often compared to a fire, and everything organic and inorganic is compared to the heat and light of that fire. Just as fire distributes energy in the form of heat and light, the Lord displays his energy in different ways. He thus remains the ultimate controller, sustainer, and dictator of everything. He is the possessor of all potencies, the knower of everything, and the benefactor of everyone. He is full of inconceivable opulence, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation.
Yeah.
One should therefore be intelligent enough to know that, except the Lord. Yeah.
Sorry. So here basically Prabhupada is explaining Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. The Lord is complete. He's a proprietor. He's a sustainer. He's a dictator of everything, and he's a possessor of all potencies, and he's a benefactor of everyone also. Yeah. Continue, Prabhu, this paragraph.
Yeah, Prabhu, it would take a few seconds. There is a lag on my screen, Prabhu. Kindly wait.
No problem, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
One should therefore be intelligent enough to know that, except for the Lord, no one is proprietor of anything. One should accept only those things that are set aside by the Lord as his quota. The cow, for instance, gives milk, but she does not drink that milk. She eats grass and straw, and her milk is designated as food for human beings. Such is the arrangement of the Lord. Thus, we should be satisfied with those things he has kindly set aside for us, and we should always consider to whom those things we possess actually belong.
So this is a very good example that Srila Prabhupada is giving for us to know what is set as our quota. So basically, if you follow the nature, the way nature is created and constructed and it is working, we'll clearly know at a very higher level what is our quota and what we should use it for our life. Yeah. You can continue this paragraph also, Prabhu. Next, yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Just a few seconds, Prabhu. Take, for example, our dwelling, which is made of earth, wood, stone, iron, cement, and so many other material things. If we think in terms of Sri Ishopanishad, we must know that we cannot produce any of these building materials ourselves. We can simply bring them together and transform them into different shapes by our labor. A laborer cannot claim to be a proprietor of a thing just because he has worked hard to manufacture it. Shall I continue?
No, Prabhu.
The next one?
No. I'll just here
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada is again telling us how do we understand what is set for our quota. Sometimes we think that this is just because we make it, we become the owner of it. But we should know that we are not the owner. Just as a laborer, if he thinks that he's constructed a building, is a part of the building, it becomes to him. But that is not his quota. He has only worked, he is paid to work to get that building up. Can Madhav Charan Prabhu or Shashimukhi Prabhu? Sumangal Prabhu, Shashimukhi Mataji can read this, then later Madhav Charan Prabhu can.
In modern society, there is always a great quarrel between the laborers and the capitalist. This quarrel has taken an international shape, and the world is in danger. Men face one another in enmity and snarl, just like cats and dogs. Sri Upanishad cannot give advice to the cats and dogs, but it can deliver the message of Godhead to man through the bona fide acharyas, holy teachers. The human race should take the Vedic wisdom of Sri Ishopanishad and not quarrel over material possessions. One must be satisfied with whatever privileges are given to him by the mercy of the Lord. There can be no peace if the communist or capitalist or any other party claims proprietorship over the resources of nature, which are entirely the property of the Lord. The capitalist cannot curb the communist simply by political maneuvering, nor can the communist defeat the capitalist simply by fighting for stolen bread. If they do not recognize the proprietorship of the Supreme Lord, it is certain that these bombs will ultimately ruin both parties. Thus, in order to save themselves and bring peace to the world, both parties must follow the instruction of Sri Ishopanishad.
Hare Krishna. So here Prabhupada is saying both the communists and the capitalists are in a wrong track, because they are not willing to accept and surrender to the proprietorship, completeness and perfection of the Lord, and they are internally fighting to gain somebody's. They are not satisfied with what they have, but they want to gain by over endeavoring. Ma grudaha, that they do not endeavor, right, for gain. So that they are forgetting in the quest of satisfying their senses, in the quest of getting the power. But if you see this particular paragraph, you probably it's my own guess that probably Srila Prabhupada has written these purports in the wake of late 60s and 70s, when there was a huge, kind of a Cold War that was going between America, that is the capitalistic capital of the world, and communist, the Russia, which is the communist capital of the world, and both were superpowers, and both had nuclear bombs, and both were going into the space, and both were competing with each other, and there was a lot of supremacy war was going on. That was the Cold War days. Probably Srila Prabhupada has written these purports in that background to tell that both are not following this principle of Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam, and that's why despite all the great things that they have done in those 2 decades, late 50s to early 70s, phenomenal scientific advancements came into being, right? So many things they've invented, so many things that they've discovered, so many material comforts came into play, and the usage of what we see as the all-pervasive electricity, internet, computers, majority of these technological inventions came in those 60s period, and the knowledge that silicon can be used for electronics, and the mother of all the electronic inventions of a chip and a microprocessor, which has resulted into, in the next 50 years that we have seen, next 60 years that we have seen till now, to the progress of this technology happened at that time. The foundations of that, what we see and what we appreciate and utilize also as technologies in good and bad ways, either ways, are at the foundation of those great superior energy, the jivas, having the superior energy, exploiting or utilizing and maneuvering the inferior energy that is there to build a great thing. In the progress in the medical science, for example, progress in the biological science, all happened. It has been a continuous process. It's not that it happened only during time, but the breakthrough disruptive innovations came as a part of automation post World War II in 40s, have resulted in a world which is completely different than what we see from a modern context of it. But having got all those things also, here Srila Prabhupada is saying that neither communists nor the capitalists are able to be happy, unfortunately. So that's why so they have to read the principles of Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Etkincha Jagatyam Jagat. This, they have to follow this fundamental principle of Ishopanishad mantra that is coming. Madhavchan Prabhu, can you read through the next 2 paragraphs? And if sorry, I'm not seeing the people
Prabhu,
there. Sorry if I miss anyone's name, please forgive me. I'm not seeing all. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Prabhu, can you just scroll back to the previous paragraph, Prabhu?
Yeah. Done it. Is this the one? Capitalist and communist?
No. It's little bit upper, I think. Above this, Prabhu. You have gone down, I think, no?
No, I've gone up. Take the example of laborer and all we discussed.
Yeah. See here, Prabhu, I just wanted to share a small incident in Buddha's life, Prabhu, in connection with this.
Good, Prabhu.
See, like, here it's clearly says, that Lord's proprietorship is there on everything, where, here it is related to the materials, non-materials, everything. So where, the Buddha gives himself for even it doesn't, is the same thing applies even for the human beings. Like when Buddha, he comes back to his father's kingdom. Okay. So like at that time, his father Shuddhodana, he still thinks he is a Siddhartha only. So he tells the Buddha, like whatever has happened is happened. So you are my son. You should come back to my kingdom and take up this kingdom to move forward, like that. He, it with little bit of arrogance and little bit of anguish, he says this. Then what Buddha replies is, see, just because I came through you, you are only it's a kind of a conduit. Like, a water comes through a pipe. So the pipe cannot claim that the water is my property. And similarly, I have come through you, but I am not your property. That's what he replies his father, Prabhu. I just remembered this. I thought of sharing.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Prabhu. Thanks. Very good. Very nice. Very, very nice example. Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Yeah, very good example. Hare Krishna. So, Madhavchan Prabhu? Yeah. Madhavchan Prabhu, you stop after this paragraph, and let's see if any other devotees also want to read. Yeah.
Okay, bro. Human beings are not meant to quarrel like cats and dogs. They must be intelligent enough to realize the importance and aim of human life. The Vedic literature is meant for humanity and not for cats and dogs. Cats and dogs can kill other animals for food without incurring sin. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste buds, he is responsible for breaking the laws of nature. Consequently, he must be punished.
Any other Matajis or Prabhus want to read? If you have not read, either Bindu Mada Mataji or any other Matajis. I'm not seeing the or any other. Otherwise, Madhavchan Prabhu, you can continue.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. The standard of life for human beings cannot be applied to animals. The tiger does not eat rice and wheat or drink cow's milk because he has been given food in the shape of animal flesh. Among the many animals and birds, some are vegetarian and others are carnivorous, but none of them transgress the laws of nature, which have been ordained by the will of the Lord. Animals, birds, reptiles, and other lower life forms strictly adhere to the laws of nature. Therefore, there is no question of sin for them, nor are the Vedic instructions meant for them. Human life alone is a life of responsibility. It is wrong, however, to think that simply by becoming a vegetarian, one can avoid transgressing the laws of nature. Vegetables also have life, and while it is nature's law that one living being is meant to feed on another, for human beings, the point is to recognize the Supreme Lord. Thus, one should not be proud of being a strict vegetarian. Animals do not have developed consciousness by which to recognize the Lord, but a human being is sufficiently intelligent to take lessons from the Vedic literature and thereby know how the laws of nature are working and derive profit out of such knowledge. If a man neglects the instructions of the Vedic literature, his life becomes very risky. A human being is therefore required to recognize the authority of the Supreme Lord and become his devotee. He must offer everything for the Lord's service and partake only of the remnants of food offered to the Lord. This will enable him to discharge his duty properly. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.6, the Lord directly states that he accepts vegetarian food from the hands of a pure devotee. Therefore, a human being should not only become a strict vegetarian, but should also become a devotee of the Lord. Offer the Lord all his food and then partake of such prasadam, or the mercy of God. Only those who act in this way can properly discharge the duties of human life. Those who do not offer their food to the Lord eat it nothing but in sin and subject themselves to various types of distress, which are the results of sin. Bhagavad Gita 3.13.
So I will read. Is anyone any volunteer? I'll say 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mataji.
The root of sin is deliberate disobedience to the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being. Conversely, one who is sober, who knows the laws of nature, and who is not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion is sure to be recognized by the Lord, and thus become eligible to go back to Godhead, back to the eternal.
Hare Krishna. So this ends the purport of Srila Prabhupada, and this shloka is Srila Prabhupada has used to tell everything animate and inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So Srila Prabhupada has explained to us this concept, this very principle at a very high level, from asking us to see and peek at the nature, where in nature how things are automatically working depending on another, and the nature itself gives us an ability to take from nature and also give it back to the nature, so that we know that we are not the proprietors, but we are only the conduit to, and there's always a quota that is assigned from a high level. From an individual level, we also need to know that that we should not over endeavor for something that we don't have, particularly if it doesn't matter anything connected to our devotional service. That's an important thing. However, that doesn't stop us from not working. Working is an important thing that throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling that we need to work, we need to compete, we need to be victorious, but not with the attachment to the results, and also always knowing that the owner of the result and the reason for us to do an activity is God Himself. And if you do that, then we are trying to follow this Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam. Yet kinta jagatyam jagat tena tvektvena bhunjita ma gruda kasyas with dhanam. So this will help us to be very much rooted to the ground, saying that nothing belongs to us, but something God has given to us, and then God also has a right to take it away for whatever reason, right? So in this way, this shloka is very interesting. It has got it's not very easy to completely unpack it and unplug it with our intelligence, but it is worth the shloka to remember, and always, and whenever there is an opportunity to get back from our mind and think about the shloka and see what we are understanding about the shloka as we are going forward in our life. So at each stage of life, this shloka has the potency to reveal to us something that we can benefit from. It's not that we just read it once and then forget about it. It's a shloka that can be there throughout our life, just the way Gandhiji took the shloka to define his life's principle. And maybe we can get something, at least if it reminds us about the enviousness and jealous that we have, that is good enough for us to know, and also to put brakes on our desires to know what nature is teaching us and what we should take and what we should not take. And that's all it is. And there are some people who have followed this, and they always believe that it's God that is the controller, the God that gives everything, and we should only accept it till the time that God allows us to accept. So in this thing, one thing that has inspired me, and I think I've quoted this thing many times in our sessions, so please forgive me for re-quoting this again. So it may you might find it very repetitive. Whenever I remember this shloka, apart from Gandhi, apart from Prabhupada, who was beautifully unplugged this shloka for us, I also remember the very, very famous singer who is called the Nightingale of India, Lata Mangeshkar. So Lata Mangeshkar has once asked about two things. Like once when she comes on stage, she doesn't come with her footwear, because for her the stage is the temple, in the temple where she worships God for the talent that God has given. And she also says that she becomes very nervous when she is asked to sing, particularly in public. A personality who has sung more than 50 to 60,000 songs, who had a career of almost 60 years. For us, it looks very odd, right? For small things that we do, we think that we are very big. Think about that personality who is regarded throughout India, at least in the North India and parts of South India, as one of the best singers that we ever had in the film industry. She having that humility, and they asked her why you become nervous and why you are so humble. How can you be so humble, first of all, for what you are? So she said, I do not know how I got this voice, how I got the ability to sing. I know that somebody has given me, and that is God. The God who has given me to do this and to entertain people can also take that away from me anytime He wants. Because I don't know when He has given, so I don't know when He's going to take away from me. So that's why when I come to the stage, I only pray to the God, so many hundreds and thousands of people have come to watch my show to want me to sing better. So I have to sing better. But I don't have a capability for my own to sing better. You have given me. So at least for this moment, in order to fulfill their desire to listen to good music, please let me sing to the best of my capability as ordained by you. That's all I want. And that's the prayer that's the mood with which she enters onto the stage. And it's pretty good, right? Like she's knowing, like Prabhu said, she knows that she's only a conduit to the mercy of Lord for her to get that singing capability. And despite so much of success that that she has got that humility, means knowingly or unknowingly she is following this principle of Isha Vasam Idam Sarvam. She knows what is her quota, and she is not over endeavoring for anything. In her lifetime also, when the National Filmfare Awards were there, she was getting the best singer of national award so many times. I think she got about 18 times. At one point in time, she requested authorities to delist her from enrolling her to be selected as a national best singer, because she has got so many times that she felt that it's not appropriate for her to get every time as the best singer. So for such a lady of accomplishment in the material world example, if you see humility, it's a big lesson for us that how we should be rooted with what we have and what we utilize. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to share that her interview really inspires me. That these are the people who live past their lives in their humility and their contribution. Even though it from a spiritual angle, it can be sounding like it completely material, and not to be mentioned in this kind of a session when we're discussing such serious topics like Isopanishad. But since we are in the material world, we can relate to the people who are in this material world. When we get inspiration in this material world from the material people regarding the spiritual things, it is worth remembering. This is what is my personal understanding. So thanks a lot for joining this session. So we are slowly, steadily moving on to Isopanishads, and next time, God willing, we will see Isopanishad mantra 3 and 4, and then we'll move on. Either we do the Isopanishads every week and finish it, or we do Isopanishad once in a month, and other weeks there are other classes. That Sumangal Prabhu will decide based on which is better for our congregation and for us, and let's abide by his decision. So I just also wanted to share something today. Today we had some bit of a very sad news for the ISKCON community at large, and particularly for ISKCON community in the Gulf. So I'll just share my screen. We'll all should pray for him. You're able to see, Prabhu? So today we came to about news about His Grace Vedya Prabhu, who is one of the pioneers in establishing the ISKCON in Balram Desh, that is Bahrain. He has left the body today suddenly due to heart attack. Prabhu was a pioneer in Balram Desh. He is also pioneer in this region for Malayalam preaching. He is also pioneer in setting up the South Vrindavan, a community, a self-sustained devotee community where devotees have built their houses and apartments around a temple that they are built, and that temple was also a few years back recognized as one of the ISKCON temples. It's called South Vrindavan. It's near Trishur. If you are going from Cochin to Guruvayur, it comes on the way. I don't know whether Jagat Bandhu Prabhu has ever visited it. Prabhu, did you visit that place, South Vrindavan?
No, Prabhu, I never visited.
Okay, next time when you go to Kerala, you should visit. Some of our very good, dear Malayalam devotees of the early days of ISKCON of Damodar Desh, Lohitakshan Prabhu, Rajgopal Prabhu, and several others, 4 or 5 of them have also settled there in South Vrindavan, and many of the Balram Desh devotees also have settled there. I heard it's a very lively and thriving ISKCON community there, mainly meant for devotees. So it's very nice. So Prabhu is the pioneer, and suddenly passed away. I believe Radha Bhava Prabhu have sent a message saying that he talked to him a few days back, and they have scheduled him to take Bhagavatam class this week, and suddenly Prabhu is no more. I believe he had got a massive heart attack. So being a pioneer and being a person who has inspired so many devotees in this region and also in Balram Desh in particular, we should pay our humble obeisances to him, also remember him, and also pray for that he gets a very smooth journey wherever Krishna wants him to go. And Balram Desh is also very important yatra in this Middle East, because it is only the first yatra who has got an official recognition for ISKCON as a cultural entity. So ISKCON is a registered entity in Balram Desh, and there's a formal temple in the Middle East region, one of the only formal temple in Middle East region. They have a very thriving congregation. I'm also part of a portion of that congregation because we have a Telugu forum, which of Telugu Bhakti Ruksha, which is organized and run by Balram Desh devotees. Very well done, very organized devotees. Every Friday we have this satsang now and then. Previously I used to attend regularly. I also had an opportunity to contribute something there to that forum. But after the weekend change has happened, it's becoming a bit tough for me to attend their Friday program. But very, very thriving community, devotee community. And Kirtan Melas also have started in Balram Desh first. And then the concept was picked up and later evolved in a much more bigger scale in Damodar Desh. Previously, devotees used to go to Balram Desh for Kirtan Mela. I remember once Bandhu Baldev Prabhu and Pavitra also went and did Kirtan there. So Prabhu is great devotee, very well known, very humble, and he is known for his very extreme humility. There's one picture they've now put in one of the forums. I'm not able to get which forum is there, where Prabhu is sitting in front of the temple on the floor and trying to distribute the chanting malas. Such a person who is a temple president of Balram Desh, but sitting almost on this kind of edge of the street of the temple and very humbly, in a very humble manner, doing the service to Krishna and Guru. So we'll definitely pray for him. And this kind of a sudden exits of the people in general and devotees in particular really jolts us. And it also once again gives us a very grim reminder that we have very less time in this material world. So recently, there was a program to conclude the 2021 book marathon. So each of these areas throughout the world, about 100 plus countries have contributed, hundreds of countries have participated, and several regions have put up their score. So there was, I was fortunate enough to be a part of that program and the concluding program led by Vaisheshika Prabhu. Middle East was represented by Srivala Prabhu. And they were consolidating the scores of Bhagavad Gitas that were sold and distributed this year in 2021, because they started this year in the midst of pandemic, and where people cannot go to and openly go and distribute books, but still they went with a concept called "I assume that I can do it." This is one of their motive and their tagline. Throughout the year they have worked very hard. And they have distributed about 2.28 million Bhagavad Gitas around the world in 1 year. 2.28 million Bhagavad Gita. Why I'm telling this to what happened to the Balram Desh pioneer is that in the end of the Live to Give program, that's a Live to Give program, Vaisheshika Prabhu has told one line which inspired me a lot. He says, our life in this material world is very short. So within this short time that is available to us, let's create maximum disturbance to Kali Yuga and then let's live it. In the short span of life that we have, let's create maximum disturbance to Kali Yuga and then leave Kali Yuga and then leave this world. So our footprint in Kali Yuga will be there for generations to come by distributing Srila Prabhupada books. So like that, that our time is short in this world, is again a grim reminder when we see these things like this. So we need to do whatever we can, whenever we can, to the extent possible. So with this small thing of very sober and very sad news, that one more devotee has gone from our particularly a devotee who has done so much to Middle East. So we'll pray for him, pray for his family, and pray for the devotees of South Vrindavan in near Thrissur, so that they can cope up with this sudden loss and they can move on in their life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any quick comments or announcements? Over to Sumangal Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, can I add something?
Yeah, sure, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I fortunately happen to know Vedavyad Das Prabhu. So Himanshu Prabhu, if you may knowing, who stays in Alfurjan, so he's very closely connected to Vedavyad Prabhu. So and we got an opportunity to interact with him directly couple of times when he was staying in his house. So we have seen him. He is really down to earth, very humble, very dedicated. And when Himanshu Prabhu used to narrate his experience with him when he used to stay in this South Vrindavan, right, Prabhu? So when he used to stay in the temple, so he used to observe his lifestyle. He said it was I mean, there is nothing else in his life than Krishna. And so get up, go to temple, do Krishna service, go home, sleep sound, in the afternoon take a nap, again go back to temple, take a bath, go back to temple, serve Krishna, again come home, eat food, take a nap, or sleep. So there is nothing beyond Krishna, I mean, in his life. So that was the kind of lifestyle that he used to do. So we also were in great shock when we heard him, because we had met him a couple of times. Yep, that's what, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu, for sharing this. So, yeah, if possible, when Jagat Bandhu Prabhu and family go to Kerala next time, probably, if it is feasible and convenient for them, they can visit South Vrindavan. It's also near Guruvayur. Hare Krishna. So, any other comments, Mangal Prabhu, and any other announcements?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I got some request from some devotees to shift, make our program on Sunday possible. So because the devotee cannot attend our program on Saturday. So he's a regular Patishit Prabhu actually. He cannot attend on Saturday, so we'll miss him. So if any devotee is there who cannot attend on Sunday, so we need to, if he can inform you or me that he cannot attend on Sunday, then it's a different case. Otherwise, if it's possible, can we make on Sunday, Prabhuji?
I don't mind, Prabhu. For me, there is no issue. Just check up with other devotees and do it.
So I request all the devotees, if you really have a genuine reason that not to attend on Sunday, or you cannot attend this program on Sunday, please come back to me or come back to Jagat Prabhuji. So
Yeah.
I'll be very thankful. So we're not going to move next week. Next week it will be on Saturday only, but because I need to get the feedback, probably it may take some time. So we'll keep that option open. Yeah, Prabhuji?
Yeah, sure. And again, I think every week, whatever we are discussing here, we are also recording and publishing it. So for time being, as an interim, we can give it to Chauhan Prabhu also. You have I can post the links.
Yeah, okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Take care, and I wish you all a very safe week ahead. And I think this week we'll be seeing Vasant Prabhu and family again coming back to Dubai. And also, God willing, everything goes well. My wife also should be back here on Monday night, late in the night. So a lot of returning back is happening. So let's see how we move along in life. So far, so good. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we'll also pray for the well-being of our devotee, Srimati Madhavi Mataji, Sri Ranjani Mataji. She is there as part of her work assignment in Iraq. So she's doing great there. I'm very glad to see her joining the satsang from Iraq. So it's very good. And I hope Mataji's arrangements for food and all are taken care now, and I think she should be fine. And I think we'll be very eager to listen to her experiences there after she comes back, spiritual realizations and experiences that she has had there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So I will